And I've been a technical guy all my life, so I'm a total geek, and it's like, I don't know, this is, sounds a little like snake oil to me, but Kimberly's such a nice lady. She invited me to one of these patch parties, and I was suffering severe problems with my plaque psoriasis, and it was on my backside here. And going to sleep at night, you lay down on your back, and it was like I was sleeping on crushed glass. The skin cracks and it can bleed and all of that, and it just drives me crazy. The doctors want to give you things that disable parts of your immune system or give you steroids and stuff like that eventually are not very effective. And so we were at one of these meetings, and I'm looking at my wife, and she said, "What do you think?" I said, "I don't know, And she says, "What do you got to lose?" And I said, "Nothing, a couple $100 or whatever." And so we tried the X39 patches, and I put them on the back of my neck here, and quite literally in the first 7 days, the skin started clearing up on me, and at 14 days, it was completely clear. Which, that absolutely floored me. And being the research type guy I am, it's like, okay, I got results. That's what I needed. I'm a believer now, and now we're involved in this, and actually, I'm wearing one here because I've got some vision problems, and some other people indicated that this other patch, the Carnosine, can help with that. So that's why I'm wearing this on the side of my face, and actually the cloudiness in my eyes is getting better. So if I can avoid getting the surgery and worrying for the extent of it on my eyes, I'm pretty darn happy with that. So there you go. So I got results.
Jim, how long had you had issues with your skin?
Okay, so psoriasis is an immune system issue. It's an overactive immune system, and it occurs in most people in their mid-30s and happens under a time of stress. And for me, I watched my mother die slowly from cancer, and very stressed out. And at the time, Kathy and I we were married then, and had 2 kids trying to raise them, and I'm working full time, and at the hospital with my mom. And then within 6 months of my mom passing, my dad started having issues. He got cancer. Right. So during that time period, I thought, just shoot me. This is crazy, and I developed psoriasis. And it's the typical way you get it. So stress triggers it, and stress causes inflammation. And one of the things these patches do is there's ones that help with inflammation along with the X39 and that stuff.
So you were young in this?
I forgot to tell you, I was 34 when my mom died and 36 when my dad died. So right in my mid-30s, and I suffered from this over half my life. And so to have that, clean up like that. Now, I still have some issues in spots, and I need to try putting the patch in other places. But as long as I was okay back here and I can lay down at night, I'm pretty darn happy, because sleep's pretty important.
Wow.
We work together and have a consulting practice, and I've known Carolyn for a long time, and so I heard about the patches maybe a year or 2 ago. Whatever that was. And then finally, yes, it took me a year to show up. But I did, and it was probably about a year ago this time. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll try this X39. And so I tried the X39. And within 2 or 3 days, I just noticed a whole different level of energy. I'm like, wow, this is great. And I'm not a coffee drinker. Those who know me know that I'm a tea drinker. But you can only drink so much caffeine, right? Like, you need your energy. And so this was what a great source of energy. And then about a month ago, I was listening to one of the videos, and now I can't remember which one, with David Schmidt, and he was just like the second half of a sentence, oh yeah, and people with sore knees sometimes, they put an AON patch on the inside of the knee and glutathione on the outside, and they feel better. And then he went on to the next thing, and I'm like, okay, time out. And for those of us who've done a little bit of sports, but for those of us who have sore knees, that was like a red light, okay, we gotta try this, right? So that night, I put an AON patch on the inside of my knee, glutathione patch on the outside of my knee, and the next morning I got up and I got a brand new knee. I don't remember when my knee felt that good. before high school, maybe. You know, so then I did it, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, I'm like skipping. No, that's just coincidence, right? So I'm gonna do it like a couple more nights, just to make sure. Sure enough, like every morning, like this is amazing. Of course, my other knee, my left knee, was the control. Okay, time to fix the control, right? So then I try to control, right? I'm gonna have the same thing the next morning. It was like, wow, like this is a brand new knee. And the other thought is, even though I have sore knees, like I use a standing desk for, I don't know, 9 in the morning to about 9 at night, and then maybe sit down for 2 or 3 hours. And that now I don't like sitting down at the desk that much anymore. So I didn't want to stop standing, right? So anyway, I'm alternating now at night with one knee and the next knee the next night. Like that. It's like, wow, this is amazing. So the X39 was good enough for energy, but now I'm trying that. And so I'm just interested in talking to different people who are using different patches in different ways. But it's like, wow, that's fantastic. And I was mentioning earlier today that sometimes I'll talk to some folks and when I think about retirement and this and that, I want to make sure I have enough money. I'm like, that's cool. Are you going to be mobile? Are you going to enjoy your life when you're retired? Right? That's the real cool, is not just quantity of life, but quality of life. And so are you going to be mobile? Like, okay, what if you work for an extra year? Just thinking. Which would pay for patches maybe the rest of your life. So work one more year, like bank the money, and then spend that money on some patches that will like get you excited about rolling out of bed in the morning, as opposed to, you know, what's the latest brand of yogurt on sale, and, you know, go to China or something, like go and live, right? So anyway, that's my story so far. We'll see what happens next. Great to meet you.
Hi everyone. Kimberly Hartkey is the person who introduced me to Lifeway about 1.5 years ago, but I want to give you guys some background information about my health. And a lot of the challenges I've had in the last 20 years started in my childhood. My mother had a hair salon in our home, and my bedroom was right next to it. And during the time period where I grew up, there were a lot of perms that had ammonia in them. So I was always sick, going to the doctor all the time. I had asthma. Then, when I was in my late teens, I went in to get my wisdom teeth removed, and they said that one of my baby teeth had not fallen out, and they had to go up and take it out. It was like under the gum line. And they found cavities in there. And at that time, they would put amalgam fillings in there, the silver ones, that are the dangerous ones with all of the mercury. And then they put a crown over it. And so when I got into my mid-30s, I started to get extremely sick. I couldn't sleep at night. I had my son then, and that like really triggered it. It was like literally I could not sleep at all. I was like in total insomnia, and it was awful having a brand new baby and not being able to sleep. So started going to traditional doctors, didn't get answers. They put me on all kinds of medication. Then I went to naturopaths who helped me figure out that these 2 exposures were making me really, really sick. So I had the heavy metals removed, but then they leach into your body. So I went through a series of all these different chelations. I bought a sauna so I could get all the chemicals out of my body. And I still, just my thyroid wasn't functioning right. You know, I kept complaining about it. I took every thyroid medicine you can imagine, and they never worked. And I was like taking minerals and just eking by, no energy. At night, I wasn't going to sleep until like 2 o'clock because my legs cramped. I'd get like maybe 3 hours of sleep a night. So lo and behold, I am a cabbie stylist, and so Kimberly came to one of my cabbie shows, and she came over to my house to pick something up, and I was complaining about it. I'm like, I just don't get good sleep. And she's like, oh, I have something to help you. And so I tried some of the patches. I think I tried melatonin first, and melatonin just doesn't work with my body. But then I got on to X39, and Eon as a combination. And that was like the golden ticket. I remember having a friend up and was just like, oh my gosh, I got so much energy, you know? And then I slept great at night. I had really intense dreams. I was like, these things are a miracle. And unfortunately, I had this setback where I hired a maid to come in and clean my house, and she used some strong products. And then all of a sudden, I just wasn't feeling that well. And I started having heart palpitations, not sleeping well, my head was spinning, and I was still telling Kimberly about all this stuff. And what's really sweet about this is that Kimberly is not just about LifeWave, she's about helping people with their health. And so one of the great things she just did recently is she came across this Facebook link for a doctor who treats leaky gut, which is something I've had over the years because of all of these other issues. And I've been to many different naturopaths who haven't really solved it. And so I just started on this program a couple weeks ago, and I'm seeing improvement. So I told Kimberly just the other day, I'm like, I feel like she's a little angel that was sent to help me to get through all of this. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, lovely Carolyn. So, as Carolyn shared, and then someone shared about rolling out of bed, where's Brian? Oh, you believe? Okay, about rolling out of bed. So if you're here and a friend has just persistently said, you gotta come here, thank them, okay? And mine is Carolyn. So she had been calling me for about a year, because she knows I work with a lot of different people. And she said, you can help a lot of people, more people. And I said, well, Carolyn, my plate is so full, I can't help any more people. I'm kind of burnt there. So she said, no, please. And what happened, it was about 6 months after her calling me, that I fell out of bed the wrong way. You know, you get up at 2 in the morning, go to the bathroom and get water or something. And it was just a crash. My knee just twisted, and I just screamed out. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, oh, okay, I'll be fine. So I limped to the bathroom, got up the next morning, and it was worse. I had to lay on the floor, stretch out my knee, rub my knee to kind of get it back in joint. This went on for about 2 weeks. And I just said, this is crazy. I'm going to call Carolyn. She told me about these patches. So she sent me some patches. I used the patches. So I just was skeptical. And I said, well, I got to do this because I've had relatives in my family. They've had knee surgery, and it wasn't successful. Okay? They're still either hobbling around or in pain. And I said, I don't want to have knee surgery. So I did the patches, and it was about 4 or 5 weeks in for me. And it's going to be different for everyone. Our chemistry is different. But I got out of bed, and I went, brushing my teeth, doing my thing. Oh, this is wonderful. And I said, my knee. This is crazy. So I called Carolyn, and I said, Carolyn, send me those patches, okay? I got to do it. And then I came to a meeting like this, and we had a great time. We talked, asked a lot of questions, and then I said, Carolyn, this just makes sense. Sign me up. And that's been now almost, 18 months or so? Yeah, over a year. But anyway, it's been a joy and honor, and I share wherever I am, and someone's complaining about this or that, and recently had the elections. I'm an election officer here in the state of Virginia, and people were just bent over, and I went, oh my God, you're younger than me. This is horrible. I don't know how old I am, but I know you're younger than me. And I said, well, let me tell you about the patches. So we've got a bunch of folks to follow up with. But if you're here and someone was persistent and loved you enough to say, you've got to check it out, you need to tell them thank you. So, thank you, Carolyn. I can do kickboxing now. Yeah.
Did a doctor diagnose what had happened to your knee?
No,
You don't really know exactly what was wrong.
Nope, I don't know, but I know it was twisted, and I could feel a pull, and I'm very body sensitive. I'm one of those holistic people. So, yeah. Well, great question.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Stasney flew up here from Houston, Texas, and she was working a full-time job in the architectural design field, and you have a whole history background of traveling abroad and very unique business, not health related, But I know that when she jumped on board, her fearless leader Laura, over here, I'll introduce you in a moment, that Leah, 4 months in, said this is what I want to do full time. So she's my inspiration among many of us here to say this is really all about helping people. And she's a fitness instructor, she is a rowing instructor, so she's really into health and wellness and helping people. So we are very grateful that Leah is up here. And I know Leah's going to talk. Do you want me to introduce Laura, or do you want to introduce Laura? Okay, so believe it or not, I'm not really that person that loves to talk in the mic. So God is telling me, right? I'm getting used to it. Kimberly's like, Carolyn, you're going to talk today. You're going to be the MC. So all I'm going to say is this is also all about self-development. Amen? Right? Like, do the things you don't like doing. But actually, I love doing it because when I look in the room here and I get to see all these amazing faces, it makes me smile inside. It just makes my heart so happy to know that we are all team and we are here to help one another. That's what I love about this company. So Laura flew up here from Sarasota, Florida. So,
I'm freezing.
I know. She probably
Nice calm warm weather.
Yes.
it's probably like one of my few jackets in her wardrobe because it's, not that cold in Sarasota. But I know Laura also grew up in Roanoke, Virginia, so she is a Virginia girl and lived in Richmond for many, many years. She battled breast cancer and overcame that. You'll have to hear her story. It's an amazing story. Maybe you'll share a little bit today. She is also a nutritionist. She's all about health and wellness. She's all about helping people. And Dr. Stacy Hallwiger, if you haven't had a chance to listen to her, I hope you will listen to her over and over. She's on every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. And Dr. Stacy Hallwiger, Senior Presidential Director, also on the advisory board with Lifeway, is who brought her best friend Laura in. And that's what it's all about. You want to bring your friends into this business by helping your friends. And I know there's a lot I can share about both of them, but I'd rather give up the mic to these two senior presidential directors who are going to share what they want to share, and then we can do Q&A. We'll wrap up our program today by, after Q&A, we'll share with you how can you get your hands on these products and a little more social. So without further ado, I'm passing the mic to...
Just do these science and tech. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I think everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to stay with the microphone. All right, I want to share with you guys what this is. Who is new? Marshall? Rich? Are you new to Lifeway? No? No. Okay. Anyone else that was new?
Who's a guest in the room that has never tried it?
Okay. Okay, good. So I just want to share with you guys how the patch works, because you're probably thinking, when we think about a patch, I've used a pain patch, or maybe an estrogen patch or a nicotine patch, where there's something on the patch that's transferring through the skin, getting into the blood that way. That's not what Lifeway is. Our patch is a non-transdermal patch, meaning there's nothing on this patch. There's a little white piece of fabric in the middle. It's completely sealed between two polymer shells, sticky on one side, smooth on the other. But what's embedded in that little white piece of fabric, everyone, is what David Schmidt, our owner, our inventor, the scientist behind this technology, he invented a compound solution of organic amino acids, salts and sugar crystals, not what we have in the kitchen, but it's a molecular structure that forms a crystal lattice that's embedded in the center part of this patch, and it's reflective. So what happens when we put this on our body emits a low-level infrared light. We know this because if we look through night vision goggles at night, we see all of the colors radiating off the body. Well, there's a very specific wavelength of that, one of those infrared light rays, that reflects a signal off the patch back into our body, and it signals our body to elevate and activate a copper peptide that our body makes called GHKCU. And this peptide was actually discovered in the human body 53 years ago by Dr. Lawrence Clark. And he started researching. He has over 5,000 studies on GHK copper peptide and what it does for the body. One of the things it does is it helps with the neurological system. Our brain heavily supports the brain function. It heavily supports our vascular system. The skin, the reason he started his studies and research was for hair, skin, and nails. He coined the term fountain of youth with GHK copper peptide. Well, one of the things that GHK copper peptide does is it activates and controls and elevates our body's stem cell production. So then you want to say, well, why are stem cells important? I did not know a whole lot about stem cells when I started with Lifeway. I knew people got injections for pain in the knee or the shoulder. I knew they were expensive. I knew they were controversial. It wasn't 100% effective. But what I learned is we are born with millions of stem cells. And stem cells are the only cell in our body that can change into any cell, any tissue, any organ that our body needs to repair. And as we age, we lose our stem cell activity. By age 35, you guys, we've lost 50% of our stem cells. They've gone dormant because of lifestyle or food. Do we exercise? What are we putting in our body? What are we doing to our body? The environmental factors. By age 60, 65, which I would venture to guess many of us are pushing that or are there, there's only 8 to 10% of our stem cells still present in the body, in the blood, trying to heal and repair. So what we're doing is we are activating and elevating our body's stem cells. We're waking them up, telling them to go back to work. And what they will do is they will start traveling through your blood systemically, through the whole body, healing and repairing whatever needs to be healed or repaired. Now we wear the patch for just 12 hours. We put it on in the morning. Drink water. That's going to be super important to stay hydrated. I was fortunate enough to fly out 2 weeks after I joined Lifeway 3 years ago to meet David Schmidt. And I remember, and I'm in the fitness industry, and I know how important it is to hydrate, but I never really understood why. And the reason is our cells are water. They need that conductivity to communicate with each other. And if some are dehydrated, he showed us a picture of cells dehydrated versus hydrated, and they lose communication with each other. So drinking water, especially while you're reactivating and waking up your stem cells, you want them to be hydrated so that they can communicate with all the cells that they're trying to repair. So 12 hours off, you guys, that's going to be important. 12 hours, we want our body, that's when our body starts the repair and regeneration, that when we're sleeping, that's typically when that process happens. And then we get up the next day and we put another one on. So what we see is that compound effect, day after day, week after week, month after month, we see in our clinical studies. Those are always so important for us to share with everyone as we have clinical studies on this technology. I tell people it's scientifically, clinically, patented, proven. We've got over 90 clinical studies done by third-party institutions, peer-reviewed, published studies, and this doctor we had on last Tuesday talked about one of the studies she was most impressed with was one that was a published, peer-reviewed study, because those are very, very difficult to get. But David Schmidt has 20 years of this kind of research behind this technology. And then it's patented. David holds 150 patents, and 70 of them are in regenerative medicine, regenerative science, which is what this technology is. There's a 20-year patent on this patch alone, and we're into year number 4 of this patch. So that is the simplicity of how the patch works. Does anyone have any questions about how it works?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious about how critical the placement of the patches. The booklets still have markers indicate where two particular locations, for X39, for example.
That is a great question.
I've heard people say they put them all over their body.
You can put them anywhere because our entire body is light. And know that each patch will come with a booklet, and it gives you location options. I think I saw it somewhere on a sign. But know that those location options in the booklet are the locations that the clinical studies were done by. So in the clinical studies, everyone needed to be patching in the same place for us to have a nice control sample, right? So it's just an option, but stick it anywhere. You can stick the patch anywhere on your body and it's gonna work. It'll activate and elevate. But that is a very good question. So pick a spot that works for you. I forever wore my SB6 here. I just recently moved it. It was just convenience, because I knew it was there. I could put it on and didn't have to think twice about it. But I've since moved it. And I've recently relocated my carnosine, eon, and glutathione, working specifically on my psoas and my hip. So I'm just trying different things, but anywhere on the body will do. All right, yes ma'am.
Can you use like 2 X39s?
You can, and here's what I tell people, it's a waste of money because you're only gonna get about 23% more. So it's not, now I would tell you if there was some kind of acute injury, double patch with some eon and carnosine, and yes, use the X39, but over an extended period of time, no, it's not cost effective to do that. And that's with any of the patches. You're gonna get an additional, isn't it about 23% more with the second patch? Someone else, yes, Ms. Michele?
My mom's in a nursing home and has thin skin. She wears the patch on her clothing. Is it as effective on her clothing?
It is as effective because that outside is exactly the same as this side. The only difference is that there's some 3M adhesive on this. And my mom does too. She wears them in her gown at night just to make it, because her skin is very thin.
Yeah.
It tears. Yes, ma'am.
What if you forget to remove them? Should you wait a day before?
That is yes, you should. Yeah, that's a great question. When I wake up, I think the other day I woke up and I'd forgotten my carnosine and it's like, shoot, I can't wear it that day. So you just skip a day. Again, that 12 hours where you've taken that patch off, okay, we're stimulating for 12 hours and we take it off, that's gonna start that regeneration and repair mode. So just skip a day. Skip a day. Yes, ma'am.
My mom used to have that problem. She's going to be 88 in June, and now she hardly has problems anymore. She used to always be bleeding, like anything would get touched by something. She started bleeding. Yeah, now it's like I heard she has.
I love that. Yeah, carnosine is going to, and yes, ma'am, what would you
You mentioned eon combination or something a couple times. Would you explain a little bit about what that is about and what it's supposed to do?
I will. So, over the course of 18 years, David developed different patches, and the one that Ginger asked about was our Eon patch. The Eon patch was actually the #1 patch before the X39 came to market just about 4.5 years ago. And the Eon patch signals a peptide in the liver, and Dr. Stacy does not even know which peptide it is, so she's going to ask David Schmidt for you. That was the message I got that. But our Eon patch signals a peptide in the liver that's going to upregulate your SODs and downregulate your inflammatory markers in your body. And if you have any kind of diagnosis, illness, syndrome, you have inflammation. We all have inflammation. We have inflammation from the food we eat, from our lifestyle. Stress causes inflammation. So getting, we mentioned the stem cell injections, what I knew about them when I started with this company. One of the things that we learned, and I know Laura talked a lot about glutathione last night, is that when people get stem cell injections into, let's say, their shoulder, we know the shoulder is full of inflammation. Stem cells are drawn to inflammation, and what happens is inflammation cells start eating viable stem cells. So if someone gets, let's say, stem cell injection, they get 2 million stem cells injected. Number one, you're at 50% because it's not your DNA. And then that inflammation factor, we're dropping that percentage of effective stem cells down really low. So we pair the X39, the X39 with the Eon. We say the Eon is going to get to the root of the problem, get rid of that inflammation out of the body, so that 100% of your new stem cells your body starts producing can get in and start healing and repair. We feel like that sets the body up for the most rapid repairs that it can achieve, or the rapid results that it can achieve. But that's a great question. Anyone else on how it works, you guys? It's so simple. An analogy that we use is if you still can't wrap your head around it, when the sun hits our body, it's going to signal our body to start making its vitamin D that we were designed with. And it's the same principle. That is a form of photobiomodulation or light therapy. We're now using our body. David has figured out a way to harness our body's light and energy and use it back in our body to do what God designed our bodies to do. And that was heal and repair. So simplicity on the science. Do we want to go through maybe the different patches?
I think,
questions?
I think we'll do questions, but I think a few people would like to hear, my story. If that's okay. So you guys, as Leah was telling you, I've been a part of Lifeway for 3 years. But my attraction to Lifeway was really not about other people at the moment, and I think all of us sitting in here would agree, started for that. I would like for you guys not to share this on the open page, because I'm going to be really open and direct.